Hello everybody, my name is Cora Sharkey and I'm here with my sister Julia Sharkey to talk about my rhetorical criticism. That might be unavoidable. I am so sorry.
Mr. Business also criticizes the show Sisterwives.
He loves having his own voice. Specifically, my criticism of Cody Brown's choice of vehicles in the show. So, first of all, I want to ask you, Julia, what you know about Sisterwives.
It is an fundamentalist LDS family living in Utah. I believe Cody, over the course of the show, has varied in his number of wives, but he's essentially a polygamist with multiple wives and God knows how many children. I could not even tell you the number of children, but I'm going to say a lot.
Not as many as the Duggars, surprisingly.
Wow. Okay, I guess, yeah. 18 is, like, a lot.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've, seen clips of the show, but I have never watched it in its entirety, nor a full season, or maybe even a full episode. But I love internet drama, so I know a little bit about it from that.
So, do you know anything about the specific wives?
I know that there's, an OG wife. Obviously his first wife, and is the one that he's, legally married to. And then I think there's, is there 3 more?
Yes.
So there's a total of 4?
There's a total of 4.
And, each one gets progressively younger as he marries them, and...
a little.
Okay. And they, yeah, that's what I know about, the wives. I'm assuming there's a lot of interesting relational drama between the wives.
Yes, a lot.
So that makes for some juicy reality television.
Sometimes. Surprisingly boring.
Whoever is producing this show, whoever thought of it.
So, Cody Brown is the husband, obviously, and then his first wife, Mary Brown, his second wife, Janelle Brown, his third wife, Christine Brown, and his fourth wife, Robin Brown. So, a little backstory, he married Mary when she was 19 and he was 20. And then he got married to Janelle, I think when he was 22 and Janelle was 20, and Christine when he was 23. And Christine was, I'll have to double check myself here, but I believe Christine was 19 or 20, very young. He was not raised in polygamy. Mary and Christine were both raised in polygamy, but him and Janelle were not. Cody went on his mission for the Mormon church and came back and felt convicted to start.
So he wasn't raised in polygamy, but he was raised in the LDS church?
Yes, very devoutly. He'd been a lifelong Mormon, so were his parents. And interesting enough, a few years after he married Janelle, his father started following polygamy too, and married Janelle's mom.
Oh, I did not know that.
Cody and Janelle were already married by the time this happened. It wasn't they were both adults. There was no, it just
creates for some more juicy reality TV, I guess.
Right? Christine was raised polygamist. Christine's maiden name is actually Allred, which is a pretty big, they're heavy hitters in fundamentalist polygamy. I don't know much beyond that. I don't know her family tree, but I do know that she was an Allred. And she got married to Cody very quickly, and she always knew that she wanted to be the third wife and the last wife. So if you ever did polygamy, which wife would you want to be?
I feel like, I don't know. It would honestly depend on the structure. If, for example, polygamist societies in the East, you want to be the first wife because you have power over the rest of the other wives. You're considered the first. You're considered the head of the household. So if that was the structure of the family, I'd want to be the first wife. If it was more perhaps Western polygamy, where it's the last kid is maybe the spoiled child, and also you're the wife he has most recently been the most attracted to or the most interested in, you're also going to get the most attention, I feel like. So maybe in Western polygamy, I would want to be the last wife, I think.
That makes sense.
I have very, very little experience with polygamous dynamics, though. So can I say I'd want to be the first and only?
Yes, that's absolutely allowed. I feel like a lot of us feel that way. Christine, her explanation is that she never wanted to be the only wife, which is really interesting because her mom is not the first wife. So she does not remember a time in their family where it was just her and her dad. She's never expressed interest in being the only wife. She didn't want to be the second wife because she felt like the second wife would upset the balance of the first marriage and they would have to work out how to actually be a polygamous couple. And by the time the third wife came in, that should all be smoothed out. And she should just be able to exist as she wants to as a polygamist woman.
I think that makes sense in theory. Like, oh, the first two will figure it out. But if the first two figure it out, it's 50-50. So if you still throw a third person in there, it's still going to upset the balance, especially if they had done all that work beforehand to figure out the dynamic, and now you have a third person coming in upsetting the entire thing.
I mean, you can speak from experience. Having two sisters is a lot different than having one sister.
Yes, you can gang up on people with odd numbers.
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I was going to say the wives can gang up on each other now.
So in the first season, he only has 3 wives. And Christine was clear the whole time, I want to be the last wife. And then, kind of without consulting the rest of the family, Mary and Cody introduce Robin.
Mary and Cody introduced Robin. Mary is the first wife.
Yeah.
And so they didn't tell the second and third wife, but the first wife was involved in this decision making.
She claims that she, chose her. She saw her at a Mormon event and said, you should approach her.
That, I won't swear on your class podcast, but that is effing creepy.
You could see why Christine would be upset by that. You could see why Janelle would be upset by that.
I could also see Mary lying about it too, though. Claiming she has more authority and more ownership in the situation than she maybe thought previously.
A lot of speculation is that, there are 13 original kids before Robin, and between Janelle and Christine, there are 12. They each have 6 kids. Mary only had 1 child. She has unexplained fertility problems. She was never able to have.
Wow, that could be a subject for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
OMG.
Especially the pressures.
I was going to say, because the religion puts immense pressure on the number of children that a woman carries. Literally affects your place in heaven, how many children you have.
Yes. And Janelle was the first to get pregnant, and she had 2 or 3 sons right off the bat. So I'm sure Mary was feeling all sorts of ways. I mean, she got to be the only wife for a while. For any woman, I feel like even if you're raised in this would be an extremely hard adjustment. And there was just a lot of turmoil between her and Janelle especially. And Janelle also worked outside of the home. So Christine would take care of the kids. Cody, Mary, and Janelle all had outside jobs. And Christine, I think, worked evening shifts for a while, but she was the caretaker. So Janelle and Christine kind of seemed to get along better. And a lot of speculation is Mary felt like she didn't have a wife that was a friend and wanted to pick one that would be.
Yep. If you have 4, now it can be 2 on 2.
Yeah. Yes.
Better zone defense.
Right? You're not getting tagged either.
Yeah. Can I ask a question that may be slightly irrelevant, but I find interesting?
Yes.
None of the second, third, or fourth wives are legally married to Cody, but they have his last name. Mm-hmm. Do they just call themselves his last name, or did they do some weird ass name change thing?
Nobody is
isn't that on a public records? Can we, not that we could find that out, but someone smarter than us could find that out?
I think so. I'm certain that, I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that they would have legally changed their names just because they don't have a physical marriage certificate. Mm-hmm. They want something.
And also, as a mother, they would want the same last name as their child.
Yes, exactly. And not totally certain, but Christine was raised in Allred. They I think her grandfather's family was raided and separated by the state for polygamy. So she is especially in the beginning of the series, she's very afraid of Utah coming in and persecuting them for being polygamist. But I'm fairly certain Janelle has no such problems. Cody is on all of her birth certificates, and he was present for all of her births. I think she had a couple in the hospital. Mostly they do home births because they don't want to out themselves as a polygamist. But I think he's on all the birth certificates. But also because of that, since they're not legally married, Christine and Janelle could claim that they were single mothers of 6 to the state.
Are they pulling in welfare? Are they getting things from the state because they can claim that they are that?
Not anymore, but definitely in the first season before the show, yeah. It was like the only way they were staying afloat.
Wow.
Because
wow.
It's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Robin was married to David Jessup. The Jessups are also...
I was going to say that name is really, really familiar.
Yes. We actually know some Jessups.
We do.
We do.
Wow, that's why it's familiar.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes, we do. So she had 3 children with him. Her eldest, Dayton, her middle daughter, Aurora, and her youngest daughter, Brianna. One of the things she says is that she left Preston. I'm sorry. I don't know why I always call him that. His name is David. I want to call him Preston.
Those are really different.
They are really different names. David. One of the reasons that she left was because he never searched for another wife.
So she wanted to be a polygamist.
Or she is just saying that because it makes her look pious.
True.
Because as soon as she came into the family...
How dare my husband not want another woman?
Right. So the house, they started in Lehigh Valley, Utah, and it was a house built for a polygamous family. So in the basement, it was one full apartment, and in the first, it's like a daylight basement, the second story, is split into 2 apartments, but it has 3 kitchens. Each apartment has extra bedrooms, but there's no like 4th apartment. So Robin got to rent her own house like a block away. When they were courting, she lived 4 hours away, and he would drive over with one of his elder daughters every weekend to see her. So he's disrupting the, what do you want to call it, like the routine?
The family dynamic.
Because he's supposed to rotate wives every night. He's supposed to stay with Mary, Janelle, Christine, or however they said it, but now he's spending 3 to 4 nights a week with Robin before she's even a wife in the family. And I didn't mention this before, but he had been married to Christine for like 14 years before they met Robin, and Robin is 10 years younger. So they have had this established dynamic between him and his 3 wives for a very long time.
So how old is Cody when he marries Robin then? And he's in his 30s?
Robin was 31 and Cody was 41. And at this moment, Christine is pregnant with her last child, Truly. But this is also a big problem because Christine had just had a pretty bad miscarriage before she had Truly, and she was really nervous about this pregnancy. It was actually the very first one she wanted to deliver in the hospital for. She was so nervous about it. And her husband is spending many nights a week with a woman who is not in the family. And
well, does he miss her birth because he's hanging out with Robin? Am I called? Is that what happens?
Not completely.
Okay.
But so at this point, Robin moves closer, and they're like very serious about courting. But there are really, there are really strict rules Mormons have, or LDS people have, about courting. And one of them is about physical affection. Because until the latest wife is married into the family, he is a married man, there cannot be any physical affection. And on camera, he kisses Robin while Christine is in labor. Like, he leaves the hospital for like 4 hours to go hang out with Robin, and as he's leaving, he kisses her. And when Christine finds this out in the tell-all, she takes her mic off and leaves. She's so upset because Christine she's been raised in this. She knows all these polygamous rules, but so has Robin. Her mother was also a polygamous wife.
Very important third person knows these rules.
Yes.
Cody.
Yes. He is definitely not free of blame here. But anyway, Robin brings her 3 kids into the family. She has 2 more with him, so in total there's 18. What kind of car do you think Cody drives?
Well, as a person who has grown up with a lot of LDS boys around here, and judging off what I know about this man who decided to become a polygamist after he went on his mission, I'm gonna assume he has the douchiest car you can imagine. Nope, Cora's professor. That is my academic prediction here. Douchey. That is quote unquote douchey.
He drives a 2007 Lexus SC convertible. At least I'm guessing that it's a 2007. It seems the most likely that it's 2007.
I would kill to see this family's finances. That car's insurance is insane. That car's upkeep is insane. Replacing anything on that car is insane. But God forbid this man spends any money on diapers.
Yeah. So the first season of Sisterwives aired in 2010. So my best guess is that this car, it is a Lexus SC. I am just guessing that it's a 2007, but from what I can tell, that seems like it's the most accurate. It does have an extended cab. There is a back seat, but that means there's not a ton of trunk space. And they live in Utah, which is not warm all year round. And I don't think convertibles have like all-wheel drive for the snow. So guess what cars his wives drive?
Huge ass minivans.
Yeah.
Or like RAV 4-wheel drive SUVs. He's done his job. He impregnated them. He's done his job.
It's not his problem what they drive.
He pumped and dumped.
Right? No.
What is a school appropriate way
I'm gonna get
to say he didn't quit it?
They drive secondhand, third-hand vans, Suburbans that are like falling apart. So like think back to 2010. Let me show you a picture of this.
Graduated high school in 2010. I have very vivid memories of that year, unfortunately.
If I showed you this car, what like assumptions would you make about the person driving it?
Ugh, okay, I immediately think Michael Scott Sebring, The Office, honestly, when I view that car. I'm like, a man who is trying to come off cool but doesn't have real taste. That's what I think of that car. Like, wants people to think they're wealthy and interesting, but maybe doesn't actually know that much about cars or have, like, a real motivation to buy that specific car. They just think it looks cool. It's a company car.
Kind of is his company car because he worked for...
that's what it looks like? I thought it would honestly look a little cooler than that. Yikes, that... Okay, Corey, you can't cut this. It's douchey. That is my professional opinion, is that car looks douchey.
Somebody on the subreddit called it the phallus car. It's really funny. Mr. Business. You would also assume that the person driving this car probably does not live in a place with like harsh weather.
Oh no, God no. Utah is a pain in the ass to drive in, and I don't even live in Utah.
Has like bad winters.
Bad winters, the roads suck. You'd think that they would be better with the terrible winters they have? No. Nope, they're terrible. Yeah.
And you would also assume... What would you assume about, like, the family would look like of the person driving this convertible?
If the windows were as tinted as they are in that picture, which I'm assuming they are, I'm picturing a middle-aged man with a terrible haircut and a girlfriend, blonde, tall, gorgeous. She looks like she smells good. Personality of a snail. I would pick a douchey middle-aged man going through a midlife crisis, dating a girl that's way too hot for him, but hasn't realized that she deserves better yet. That's what I picture when I see that car. And
Yeah.
it's hilarious to me that it's actually a polygamist with 4 wives and 18 children.
You wouldn't see that and go like, what a nice family.
That's
man.
a family man.
Would
No,
you?
that strikes me as that man doesn't talk to his children. Is when I look at that man's children hate him. That's what every one of his kids has daddy issues.
When he goes by and the windows are down, he's playing Nickelback.
Oh God. Yep. Yeah. Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.
But the whole like premise of the show, the whole reason they decided to do it, or at least what they say, is to prove that you can live a healthy, godly lifestyle with multiple wives.
That was their original goal?
Yeah.
Because I feel like they've accomplished the opposite.
They definitely.
Where everyone is like, wow, this family dynamic is so unhealthy, so abusive. No, this is a better reason why polygamy should be illegal.
They were trying to show that this lifestyle works and everybody was happy in it. And it might just be like tough sometimes, which I don't feel, and clearly neither do you, is how it turned out. But his whole purpose for like accepting this place on the show was to be like, I'm the family man. Not only can I do it for 1 wife, I can do it for 4 wives. But it's so like at odds with this car he has, even when they don't have like TLC money coming in, which is very interesting that he can't let go of this. I feel like it's like a symbol of his youth. Like he doesn't want to be the guy with
really
13 children.
That's how he comes off on the show too, is kind of like immature surfer boy.
Yeah,
honestly,
he wants to be the cool, hip, young dad. He doesn't want to have the responsibility or the time constraint, especially, of 13 children. Well, 18 children now. When the family goes places, Mary only has 1 child, right? But she also drives a huge, beat-up Suburban and has many children in her car. They all take separate cars, including Cody. He either goes by himself or he'll take one of the eldest children.
But that also, he can leave whenever he wants to.
Yep.
He can show up when he wants to. The car means freedom for him.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's so small is that it means freedom for Cody only. Not like multiple kids or anything like that. It's freedom for Cody.
Yes, and it excuses him from a lot of things. In the first season, they were attending a private polygamous school. But still, you know, they have 13 children, at least 8 or 9 of them have to go to school every day. So how are you going to take 8 to 9 children in your convertible? Like, it excuses him from dropping kids off.
It's a trailer on the back.
That is not OSHA approved. OSHA.
OSHA! You need a transportation department.
Yeah. It excuses him from picking them up. It excuses him from ferrying them to parties, to sports, to extracurriculars, from pretty much anything. He can just say, I don't have space, go ask your mom.
He doesn't have to perform any of the labor of fatherhood except existing. That is not parenting. That is, you're an adult with kids. And as a teacher, I'm unfortunately incredibly familiar with the difference between adults with kids and parents. And Cody is an adult with kids, and his wives are parents.
Yeah, oh yeah. And because he has not filled this role, his elder children are then forced to.
Oh, God. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, in the first season, they do like a special interview with Logan, the eldest son, and he's like, yeah, I get up at 6 every morning, and I get my siblings up, and I make them breakfast, and I make sure they all have their bags packed. And it's like, man, this boy is 16. If he's getting up at 6 a.m., it should be to go to football practice.
Yeah.
Or like sports or something, you know? He should not be having to hold the hands of 4 small children.
I wonder how they also reconcile that with like, this is what I'm doing to take care of my siblings, but they're also watching their dad do nothing. This was an experiment in traumatizing your family. That's what this show was. It was not to show the world that polygamy can be successful. It was to, hey, watch me traumatize my entire family for, 13 seasons?
18.
18 seasons! Oh my God. I always forget how many godforsaken seasons there are on that
That's why I
show.
said it's only interesting sometimes.
Wow.
But it is really tragic, and his vehicle reflects that. Like, so 2010, what would you say that this car would cost?
You showed me a picture of it.
Yeah.
So maybe... I don't know that much about cars, but I think Lexus is kind of nice. So like between 70 and 90 maybe?
You're really close. In the Kelly Blue Book, it had a starting sticker price of $66,000.
Okay. The lease, the insurance, the upkeep,
maintenance,
the gas. Like this is not a car where you spend a bunch of money once and then you get to enjoy a cool car. Like this thing has absurd costs throughout the life of the vehicle.
And of all of the times we on the show for the first 3 seasons, around season 4 is when they started making more money. Never once did it show his car broken down, but all the time the wives' cars were breaking down. So not only is he not caring for his wives, he's not caring about the upkeep of their car, which, like, for me and you, raised in the way that we were, it might be like the upkeep of your car is your responsibility. But these are Mormon women raised to be homemakers.
But also, like, what else is his job?
Yeah.
If he, like, what are you here for, Cody? Like, if you're not freaking driving him to school, if you're not feeding him, if you're not doing any fatherhood, then, like, what's left is that you're a provider. And
you're not
what
providing.
The hell are you providing?
Yeah.
Where's the money? Where's the financial stability? Like, where is that stuff? It sounds like Cody is spending his money on himself and then calling himself a financial provider.
Yeah. And on top of that, he couldn't even bring in enough money to support the whole family before the show. The other 2 wives were working and they were receiving state assistance. Like,
these are our tax dollars, people. They're supporting this family and this man's car.
Hungry people should be fed. But if you're talking about how polygamy is totally possible,
it's not possible if you are relying on the state to feed your children. That is by definition not feasible. Yep.
Yeah. It's a little frustrating. Like, they are a little bit different than other polygamous families, though. Most cohabitate in the same house. After they leave Lehigh Valley, they never cohabitate again. And Robin has never lived in the same house as any of the other wives.
So Mary originally, like, said she picked out Robin to be her butt buddy. Are they butt buddies? Or does that backfire on Mary?
It really backfires.
I could see that coming a mile away, Mary.
Already off the bat, like, I told you about how Cody was treating Robin. It's obviously different than how he's treating
Which
the
is
other
why
wives.
I would originally pick to be the last wife in this scenario. I knew how it would go.
You might get a surprise wife 10 years down the road.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So they moved to Las Vegas, actually, and they can't... they want to build there, but they can't do that for a while. The whole premise is, like, they're fleeing Utah because the state is going to prosecute them. There was, like, never any evidence for that. And there is another family they had on the show called the Dargers. Not the Duggars. The Dargers. Uncle Mark actually knows them because they live in Helena, and Mike Darger sued Helena, the city, twice to legally recognize his polygamous relationship. And the city said no both times. But obviously they're not, like, being run out of the state.
Yeah.
So after they leave Lehigh, like I said, they never cohabitate. Again, so Cody is now driving between houses, hopefully daily. It's a little,
Theoretically daily?
yes, it's a little unclear, like, how much that actually happened. But once again, he has this sport car that he spends his evenings driving in. I feel like for how much a polygamous man would have to, like, cart things around, like your clothes, your toiletries, but it just shows that his image is more important than his convenience, than his duty, than his responsibility.
I mean, it's also an incredibly convenient excuse. I can't take the kids to school because my vehicle will not fit them. I cannot carry around the kids' soccer equipment because there is no room in my trunk. I literally, it's not because I don't want to do these things for you. It's because I can't do these things for you because my vehicle is stopping me. Not my own decision making and my own, like, terrible aptitude as a husband or a human being. It's because of my car.
It's like it's weaponized incompetence, right?
Yep.
So now we're going to jump ahead to season 18. There's only a few kids still living at home. Robin still has her youngest children at home with Cody. Janelle has one daughter left. Christine has a daughter left. But at this point, Christine has moved back to Utah. She has left the family and moved back. Now that the show is a huge hit, it's been going on for 18 seasons. They have all these side avenues of bringing money in. There's a lot more freedom and choice in what to drive, right? But he still has 3 kids at home with Robin. What kind of cars do you think he drives?
Oh, okay. So he's updated his car, 3 kids at home, but Robin is the wife. I think that might change the dynamic a little bit. I think he's willing to do a little more for Robin because he's always had a different relationship with her, I think, than the other wives. Something still dumb AF, but maybe fits 1 kid. That's my best guess. Like slightly better, still terrible.
So at this point in time, he has 3 vehicles. And he still has a sports car. It's a convertible. It's a brand new Lexus LC. They have moved to Flagstaff, Arizona at this point. So, I mean, the temperature is a little more moderate. I wouldn't say winters get particularly bad there, but he still calls it his like summertime car. What would you say the sticker price on this is? The best guess that I have is that it's a 2020 model based on the time of the season airing.
So a 2020 convertible Lexus.
Yeah.
I'm going to say between 100 to 110.
Once again, really close. The sticker price I found for it, brand new, was $93,970.
Yeah, and that's like the base model.
Yeah.
Like the base model of my car, the Kelly Blue Book, is way cheaper than what my car actually costs because of the audio and the different upgrades and stuff like that. So,
right.
And he strikes me as a man who would buy the bells and whistles.
Yes.
Because to him it's an image thing.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't buy the base model. That gives you a poor image.
No.
You want the fancy luxury model.
I'll probably cut this part out, but there was a picture of him wearing a huge blue shield necklace that everybody was calling the heart of the deep blue sea, like from
the Titanic,
yeah.
The heart of the ocean.
Yeah. And we found it. It was a $5,000 necklace.
Truly, he gives off, like, you know how like when rappers come into money and they're immediately like, I'm gonna buy a cool car and I'm gonna buy some cool jewelry, and I don't have any like true financial acumen here. I just want people to think that I'm rich, and like these are the things that I think cool rich people buy is a car and a cute necklace.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something that you think a wealthy person would buy, not like a tailor-made suit that you can't even tell is $10,000.
Or really like, I mean, I'm sure his watch is nice and stuff, but yeah, like it's like
it's very flashy.
Faux grandeur.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do a whole nother rhetorical analysis of the way he dresses. So he also does, they live in Flagstaff now. They bought acreage that they intended to build 4 separate houses on. That never happens, but they do still have this acreage out there. So this last Christmas, he bought all of Robin's children, I think, 4 mini bikes. Like those, they're not dirt bikes.
Because you don't have to parent a kid if they're dead.
Robin was like not pleased.
Yeah, those things are literally death traps. And I'm not even
really
a parent.
Fun,
yeah, I'm sure they're incredibly fun.
But you would say that he would, at this point, need maybe like something that could tow, right? And for a winter, Janelle was living in a trailer on Coyote Pass, this acreage that they bought to try and convince the family, like, we need to pay off this land and buy here and build here. At this point, Janelle needs somebody to tow this trailer that she bought to live in out there. So, what kind of pickup would you say Cody has?
Oh. It's some dumbass Rivian or something like that. Something that is like looks cool. It looks like it could like carry a big load, and maybe can, but also anyone who like knows anything about like trucks and actually hauling would be like, that's the dumbest decision I've ever heard, because too much upkeep, doesn't actually haul what you want it to. Like, he seems like a man who buys things because he enjoys the way they look and the way that they make him come off as a big man, not because he actually knows anything about hauling or that vehicle in any way. Hence the god-awful hideous Lexus. Like, bro, if you had 110 to spend on a car and that's the hideous thing you pick, like, I do not have a lot of faith in your like vehicle buying decisions.
So just for some context, me and my sister are from rural Idaho. We're very familiar with camping and hillbillies,
Yep.
and we own horses and
Trucks, hauling.
Yep, we've pulled our fair share of horse trailers. You know, these are things that
We are familiar with this culture of large trucks, but also like vanity trucks as well. There's lots of people in the area who do not haul or do anything outdoors, but also like vanity trucks. And in this area of Idaho, it's easy to tell who has a vanity truck and who has a work truck.
Usually by like also if it has a lift kit and like how clean it is.
Yeah, and also like how much is it lifted, because
and if it has those like truck nuts. So he actually does have two pickups. One is a Ford Super Duty, but he got that one from his late brother.
Okay, so he got it from someone who didn't know what they were buying.
Yeah, that one's like sentimental. He bought it. You know, his brother's widow offered it to him. He just bought it. So I don't really want to like touch on that one too much. But before that, he bought a 3/4 ton Nissan Titan Pro.
A Nissan Titan. I don't even need you to go on. I know it's.
I didn't know Nissan made pickups.
Yeah, because no one in their right mind buys it. Like, the smaller, like, Nissans are really good, like, small trucks. Like, not bad at all.
Yeah, like a half ton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
pretty handy.
I have never known anyone that, like, works on a ranch or a farm or that does, like, any type of heavy lifting that had a Super Duty like Nissan like that. No, never.
Yeah.
Never in a million years.
If you had to like hazard a guess, what would you say the horsepower is?
What do they say the horsepower is, or what it actually is? 300?
390. For context, Dad's Ford is a 3/4 ton, and it has 520.
The green one or the red one?
The green one. I don't know how much the red one has.
The green one has 520, and that Nissan has 390.
Yeah.
That truck, what year is it? It's like a 1999 for listener context. It
Yeah.
is.
I think it's a 97.
It's a really, like, it's a good truck, but it's old.
Yeah, it's very old. And as Dad did point out, a lot of these trucks' pulling power does come from their torque, but this pickup, especially with the lift kit, does not have a lot of torque.
Yeah, every time you lift a truck, you are getting rid of some of the torque. Like, how do you think a truck pulls something so heavy when it is so separated from its own wheels? Like, that is like those dumb videos you see where someone guns it and then the wheels keep going and the body of the truck stays behind. Yeah. That is what is going to happen to this man if he tries to pull anything with a lifted Nissan Titan.
So its towing poundage limit is probably near 8,000, which for a pickup this size is not a lot. That's like a light camper. That's like a camper that maybe has one slide out, but like probably not. It could haul the mini bikes, sure. It's referred to as a sport truck. It should be good theoretically for off-roading, things like that. But, like, once again, he buys something that is supposed to have purpose to the family, because Janelle has this trailer that she needs pulled. He's talking about wanting to do these things more, and once again, he buys something that looks like it could do it, but, like, can't actually do it. Kind of like the man.
I was about to say, like Cody himself. He looks looks like he could. Receipts say nah.
This is like not very unbiased of me, but I could cite all 18 seasons of his failings to meet the standard that his family needs him to meet. I mean, 3 of his wives have left him at this point. Obviously, their needs are not being met. I watched this with my friend who grew up in Southern California for the first time. And when I saw Janelle's trailer, growing up as we have with a slide-out trailer that we have loved, I was like, wow, that's a nice trailer. I probably genuinely would not mind spending a season there. You know, it has 3 slide outs. It looks spacious.
I lived in a trailer for a year.
Yeah.
When I was like transitioning jobs and
a camper
areas.
trailer.
And so I lived in a camper trailer for a year. It had 2 slide outs. It was definitely a nice camper trailer. And I lived in there with 2 cats and did totally fine.
Yeah.
For a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Not horrible, right?
Not horrible.
Well, she tells Cody, like, I had to buy it sight unseen. It was the only way I was going to get this camper. Can you pull it with your truck? And he says, no. I'm not going to do that. And she says, okay, well, can you just loan me your truck and I'll pull it? Because maybe he doesn't want to say, like, I don't know how to pull a trailer that big. And he says, no, this is not a soccer mom truck.
What kind of a truck is it, Cody?
It is a soccer mom
like,
truck.
what? Okay, so if you're not using it to pull anything, then he's literally outing himself right now. This truck is not for any purpose. This truck is to make me look cool. That is what he's telling his wife right now.
So Janelle says, you know what, I'll buy my own pickup. Because I think she sees at this point, like, this is how he's going to be about the trailer always. So she's like, I need my own pickup. I think at this point she realizes every time that she needs to do something on this trailer, she's going to have to ask him for his pickup. Mm-hmm. And he is clearly disinterested in actually helping her with this stuff. So she gets her own pickup.
Good for her.
The next episode, they meet at Mary's house. And Robin pulls up separately, driving the pickup. I just had to throw that in there. Like, it's part of this double standard that he has for his family. Janelle can't have it because it's not a soccer mom. Janelle has one 17-year-old daughter at home.
I know this is going to be, like, no crap Watson, but, like, no wonder he has no wives left.
I tell myself that every episode.
No wonder, man. Like, no sane person can just, like, keep dealing with these punches and these abuses and just this complete disregard. Like, this woman literally cannot do anything with her camper unless she has a way to transport it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he has a way to transport it that he is
not
keeping away from her for no apparent reason.
But the other wives can use it.
Yeah. The nanny uses it. Robin has a nanny, by the way.
What? Yep, this is why I want to be Robin. Mm-hmm. I called it so right in the beginning.
You want to be married to that man?
I don't want to be married to that man, but if I had to be any of these wives, I'd want to be Robin. Because I would at least get to drive the freaking truck.
Right. So at its base, just like all of his other cars, this is a status symbol. It's like, look at me, this like incompetent thing that you look at and you know is expensive belongs to me. Like, what can it really do? Mm-hmm. You know? I asked Mom if I showed her a picture of his pickup and I said, like, what would you say if you saw this pickup? And she said, it's probably double parked.
Yep. You could, like, show that picture, just do a general poll in Idaho.
It's probably
like,
double parked.
Yeah, what do you think of this truck? Like,
right?
Yeah, and then either double parked, has truck nuts, or is getting pulled over because they have, like, colored lights on the bottom, which is absolutely illegal, or 2 dark tinted windows.
Or, like, a light bar that they're blinding people with.
And then you'd, like, expect the window to roll down and it'd be some, like, douchebag, but no, it's some, like, polygamous Mormon guy. Like, that is, yeah, he's still a douchebag, but, like, with a chain, the heart of the ocean around his neck, and everything. does anyone think this guy is cool? Ah!
This is like off topic, but they had their wedding rings were all Claudia rings. Those, Claudia, the Aunt Karen has one. It's like, it's that famous brand of the hands holding the heart.
Oh, ew.
That's controversial.
Okay.
People love it.
It's kind of like My Precious Moments.
Yeah.
Has a niche.
But,
not into that niche, but you could be into worse things, I guess.
Yeah. Well, considering how my Sisterwives closet went, which is a whole other paper. When Robin joined the family, they got her a Claudia ring, and Cody had one too.
How much? Do you know how much these freaking rings cost?
They're not like, they can be really expensive. They weren't like $30, but they're like mid-range, durable, depending on what kind they got. I'm not super.
So it's not like a status symbol, though?
No.
Okay.
Now, though, since his last wife is Robin, he has this like stallion signet ring that definitely was like $4,000.
He would be some dude bro that has a signet ring claim to make him feel like he's some part of some epic lineage family. Like, it is just so... I bet you he's really into World War II history, too.
House Brown. He thinks he's in Game of Thrones.
He thinks he's in Game of Thrones.
But even at this point, when they no longer have supposedly financial insecurity, these are the choices he makes with his vehicles. They are still not useful to the family, even though he has the power to control that now. I'm sure Robin also drives a really nice Suburban.
I don't think that has ever been a requirement for him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever even considered it. I don't think that he factors that in any way whatsoever when he purchases these vehicles, and no matter the financial assets of the family, he will continue to purchase vehicles like this.
Yeah. So despite his reasons for coming on the show being, I'm the family man, I can do it all, I can have this huge family, and it is godly, his priorities have never been in that order. His priority has always been about perception, which, in all fairness, I feel like to agree to be on a reality TV show, that would have to be your priority. Mm-hmm. But it's like tragic.
Well, if you wanted the world to be more like pro-polygamy, you certainly would not advertise it. Like, you would not show the realities of polygamy if you wanted the world to be more polygamous, because the realities of polygamy are that it is awful and abusive, and that you cannot have healthy family dynamics in a polygamous family. And it's not even necessarily about, like, having multiple wives. Like, it's not about being polyamorous.
Yeah, it's not about non-monogamy.
It's about the religion and the power dynamics is why polygamy will never be a healthy relational dynamic. And if he ever wanted to prove the world that, he would not put it on a reality TV show.
Yeah.
So I think you are absolutely right. It has literally always been about perception for him.
Like, part of me feels a little bit bad because he very clearly married these 3 women and then met Robin later in life and realized he met his soulmate and is like, well, what do I do now? I don't want to be with anybody else anymore. But the way he handled it was so cruel to these 3 women, because knowing what we know about fundamentalist Mormonism is that when the end of the world comes, you have told your husband your secret name that is given to you at your baptism, and he has to call you forth from the grave to join you on his heavenly planet. And if he doesn't do that, you don't get to rise again, because Jesus isn't going to call your name.
Their salvation is tied to him no matter what.
Yeah.
Even in the LDS religion, even if you get divorced, your salvation is still tied to your first husband.
In this life and the next. Mm-hmm. Even if you can get unsealed.
Yeah, like... To these women, it's more than this is my life partner.
Yeah.
It's this is my eternal life partner.
Is at stake. He has to be happy with me for all eternity, or he will not call me forth from the grave to join him. Like, and you only get your own planet if you have 3 or more wives.
Yeah, and also if you have 5 or more kids, sorry, Mary.
Which, that brings up this whole other conversation. Like, in the beginning, there was a lot of food insecurity for the older kids because the family funds were split between each wife equally. And part of the argument is like, well, Mary should not be punished for being infertile. But another argument is Mary does not need a $500 grocery allotment for her and her child when Janelle has 6 children.
Yeah, wow, that is a terrible way to distribute finances and can cause extreme butting of heads between the wives. If I had 6 kids to feed off the same cost as my sister wife had 1 kid to feed, I would, it wouldn't even have to be her fault, but I would despise that woman simply because it was so much harder for me to feed my kids.
But you have to remember that she's the first wife, she's the legal wife. There can't be any favoritism shown anywhere, so Mary has to have the same budget. Even when they move to Las Vegas and Mary gets her own house built, it's 5 bedrooms. Wow. It's kind of bonkers. This is good insight into why they haven't left him before and why he wants them to leave him, and he will not be the one to say this relationship is over, because then he has failed in his polygamist.
He will make things so uncomfortable and unhappy for them
that they have to throw away their salvation.
But yeah, see, that's the thing. It's not that they're throwing away any type of financial stability, which in a way they might be, or cutting off their own children's father. They are saying, I don't want to go to heaven anymore. Yeah. Essentially, by separating from Cody. Yeah. The religion makes this so much more high stakes than people who are not familiar with this religion even realize. Growing up in a rural Idaho where we are surrounded by extremely devout LDS people, they take this incredibly so seriously. They believe this. Think of your very closely held personal beliefs. They feel the same way. They're not just divorcing Cody. They're saying, I can't go to heaven anymore. Yeah. Yikes.
There is so much on the line for them that it can be really difficult for people who have never been exposed to that kind of zealotry to understand. But the same way that we're told there's oxygen in the air, they're told God is here, God is real. These are the rules you have to follow.
You can only reach this level of happiness after death by being tied to this man. Yeah. No matter what.
And that is as real to them as breathing air. They have probably never had the chance to really question it.
Because they're not even regular LDS. No. They're fundamentalist.
Which are very different.
LDS.
And regular LDS people will draw a really hard line between them and fundamentalists. But it's a little scary. I mean, could you do it? Could you leave your 8 children in the care of this husband in the afterlife?
I'm currently in a very unhealthy relationship, and the thing that is keeping me tied to it and is financial stability and how difficult it is to extricate yourself from another person when you have all these financial ties to them, let alone children, let alone decades worth of relationships. You're not just saying, I don't want to see Cody anymore. You're saying my children will not have access to their father as much anymore, if at all. You're saying, I don't want access to those finances that come tied with it. You're also losing your support system. These women, because they were raised in such conservative religious households, probably do not have the same feelings towards therapy. No. And other self-help ways to help themselves they would not pursue because they were raised that those avenues were wrong or satanic or just simply not
modern
options.
medicine is bad. Well, they actually do have a family therapist named Nancy, but she is widely regarded as probably one of the worst therapists that's ever been on TV.
Does this therapist see them individually and also as couples?
Yeah.
That is an incredibly huge red flag.
Yes.
Anyone listening to this, your therapist, if they see you individually and then also see you as a couple, they are not a real therapist, because that is against the therapy like code of ethics. It is incredible.
Long term. Yeah,
yes,
long term.
it is
one session or something is not
really
a red flag.
your couples counselor should not also be your individual counselor. That is a very, 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 very bad thing.
Yeah. Like, if you're doing individual therapy and you bring your partner in for a session, that's fine.
Yes. Very different than your couples counselor also being your individual counselor.
In the end, Cody has consistently and continuously valued his image over his duties to the family. Wrapping up, if I saw somebody driving those pickups in my neighborhood, I would immediately assume that he's going to break the noise ordinance.
Okay, if I saw someone driving in that truck around my neighborhood, I would think that he had kids by 4 different women, but it wouldn't be polygamy. So
it is just really interesting to me, not only in the aspect of how he dresses, what he wears, his choice of a side hustle, all of it is deeply unsuited for a family environment. Like, this sport pickup is just a sport pickup. Sure, you live in Flagstaff.
Which even theoretically it could pull the camper in, yet he won't do it anyway, so.
Exactly. I mean, it would have been one thing if he said, I've never pulled a camper that big.
But I'll try.
He kept calling it an RV, and I kept being like,
how many feet long is it?
It's a big camper, but an RV has its own engine and stuff. Yeah. I think it's a 5th wheel. Which the Ford Super Duty could pull that. You probably wouldn't want to do it all the time. Put a lot of wear and tear on the truck.
He probably doesn't actually know how to tow anything. Is too scared to ask because it would come off as unmanly.
This big trailer isn't even a gooseneck trailer, though. Like, that tells you.
That's what I'm calling, is that he just doesn't know how to pull it and doesn't want to admit that.
And he doesn't want Janelle to be better at driving the pickup than him. That's exactly what it is.
She can't drive it because she'll turn out to be better at it than him.
Yeah. The whole show is an eternal competition. It's a competition for his affection. It's a competition for his attention. He is the bachelor, the grand prize in this, and he wants them all to supplicate themselves before him and beg for his. And they said, after 30 years, they said, no, thank you.
Only took them long enough to give the rose back. But like, nah, never mind.
It is just fascinating. I guess I have never been a man, so
Thank God. Same. Sounds exhausting.
I mean, I feel like cars and pickups have never been important to our own self-image. I don't understand why you would need somebody on the highway to be like, that's a big pickup. Because when I see big pickups, I'm like, he's compensating.
It shows how you communicate your self-worth. Mm-hmm. And that's where he puts his self-worth.
Yeah, not in his family.
Yeah, not in his family thinking he's a good father. Not in his children loving him. Not in his wives thinking he's a good partner. That's not where he gets his self-worth. He gets his self-worth from randos on the street or around town thinking he has a cool car.
Yeah.
That's where he gets his self-worth.
And it's one thing to have a preference in a vehicle. I mean, our father has always preferred pickups, but they were never pickups that the whole family couldn't.
They were also never pickups purely for aesthetic purposes.
Yeah.
They had reasons. Yeah. We needed to haul or pull things, and they have been used until they cannot run anymore.
And used beyond that.
And rebuilt and used again, and rebuilt and used again.
Imagine your dad's convertible being more important to him than your college application.
So many nights growing up, I would have nightmares about
Crashing
wrecking
the pickup.
Dad's truck. So many. But it wasn't because he tied his self-worth to his vehicle. That is not why. It's because it was an incredibly important tool around our ranch.
Yeah.
And losing the pickup truck and losing my, like Dad obviously cared a lot about it and took good care of it and used it a lot, was like extremely anxiety inducing that I would take away this important tool for my family.
Well, and our parents were teachers. They did not have TLC money to throw at a new pickup. Like, that would have been devastating.
If I was in Cody's family having nightmares about crashing his convertible, those nightmares would be around like, wow, my dad is gonna freak the F out on me because I'm ruining his self-image.
Yeah. All I have to say about that is yikes.
Yikes. Yep.
His presentation of what his goals were for being on the show were at odds with the things that he spent his money on, the things that he spent his time on, and the things that he obviously prioritized. And a lot of that was his vehicles. Well, thank you all for listening to my rhetorical criticism. It got a little off track. There are some pretty long stretches.
There are a lot of things to criticize here.
It was really supposed to be about his vehicles, but it's a little hard to explain why it is so incorrigible of him to keep choosing these vehicles without the context.
Yeah, I mean, I think his vehicles encompass a much wider issue.
Yeah, which is... his image has always been more important than his 22-person family.
Yep. So, Godspeed to you, Cody. You need therapy, man.
We'll see.
Get out now, ladies!